welcome to Kapow Toys Presents. I'm your host, King Grimlock, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at Hunt for the Decepticons, Tomahawk, the Autobot helicopter. Now this guy has eluded me for some time, and I'm very glad to be able to get my hands on and review him, because he's always been something that struck me as a bit of an oddity. An attack helicopter for the Autobots? How very weird, how very gauche. I don't even know what that word really means, so don't quote me on it. It might not be gauche at all. It just sounded very gauche. But anyway, let's take a look at the figure. Supreme sculpting throughout, as we have come to expect from the Hunt for Decepticons line, with some wonderful, wonderful paint apps picking out things like the tail and these golden little stripes all the way through it, picking out panel lines. And the sculpted detail is very minimal on this guy, to be honest. It's very good, but it's very minimal. We've come to expect from the jets and things to have an amazing amount of panel lines, and this guy, while having quite a few, doesn't seem to have the same amount, and things like the air intakes just haven't had the detail finished off on them, especially when you consider the ones on the front that look sublime. Underneath you have this little camera. I'm not sure how well that's going to be out, which does have a rotation to it. I'm not sure what it actually is supposed to do, but it looks the part. Again, some paint apps would have been nice to pick it out, especially when they have gone to the trouble of picking out two little vents at the front in red. The only part of red on this mode, other than these tiny bands that run around the sort of goldy, bronzy plastic of the guns. Functionality in this mode, there isn't too much. The blades spin. He does have little wheels that will fold in and out, but that's about all they do. And that one there, rear rope doesn't turn. He does have 3mm posts, and his weaponry system does of course do the obligatory firing. If I could find where I'd actually, oh yeah, it's on the inside. I put the guns the wrong way around, oops, my bad. Yeah, it does, they do fire, so you know what firing missile looks like, I hope. I really like this mode. It's let down by the underside, which, while here is okay, it just becomes a bit sparse and open here. And you just feel that maybe with a little hinge at the back here, maybe something just to cover up the head that's poking out underneath, and somewhere for the wheel to go. Especially when we've had really, really tidy modes like, I mean, this guy was the casemate of Terradive, and Terradive was tidy as hell. I mean, to the point where you couldn't really see where anything went. It was so nicely done. Whereas this guy, you can quite clearly make out his exceptionally large feet and the back of his head in there. Overall, this mode is very, very nice. I'm not at all disappointed by it, which I'm really glad about, because as I say, I have been waiting for him for a while. He does have a certain aesthetic that you wouldn't expect for him, for a Autobot especially, and even for a Transformer. He does remind me more of the G.I. Joe aesthetic for an attack helicopter or something like that, which I get the feeling maybe he was based upon. Anyway, let's take a look at what he can do in his robot mode. And Tomahawk in his robot mode somehow seems to also give off the impression of being a helicopter. I love how slight he is. I love how everything's quite narrow and light looking. It would make a good scout in terms of his character, not in his class size. You know, the detailing on the feet, especially the fact that he has these panels, these hydraulic areas. It just, I don't know, it takes away from the normal clunky heavy robot. Unfortunately, he does have his downsides. Like many of the toys that we've seen recently, the good almost is outweighed by the bad. The excellent shoulder area is unsupported by clips, so when you go to move the shoulder, the entire torso, or sides of his torso, move. The ball joint is almost made redundant unless you actually hold the thing in place, which is great, except for when you're wanting to make minor adjustments, and especially when it happens with the lower arm doing it as well. The shoulder area, the missiles and the wings that interlock underneath, are movable in various different places. They are on ball joints, so you can have them swiveled away. Either down or twist them away to the side. I personally like them up because it just gives an impression of being able to fire off a lot more arms. The Gatling cannons on the end of the wings is a especially nice little touch. The missiles as well are beautifully sculpted in. And these 3mm clip system weapons, again, are a fantastic addition. Unfortunately, they don't work too well with Tomahawk, I guess. Up there, they look fine. Okay, shall we just give an idea of something else he can do? We'll move those down to the side. Just so you can see them in a different light. The clip system weapons work really well with a fold-away clip system point. There's 3mm clip on there, and that means that they can clip quite happily and fire quite hard onto the side there. So you can have him. Whoop. You can have him with the weapons hanging off the side. It does look a little bit untidy, but you can also have him holding them. Well, you'd think you can, but the post, it just doesn't. It doesn't feel that secure, and doing that, of course, puts this massive rocket there, which hinders his elbow joint. His articulation is superb, and it would be a shame to hinder it in that sense. As I say, though, the articulation is instantly hindered by the shoulder areas. Has a swivel at the bicep, twist at the elbow, nothing in the hand at all, and the hand is fairly set in place. You can turn it in and out by moving the shield area. The shield area is one of the highlights for me, including this big blade that is made up out of the tail section. Nice ball jointed hips, and then sort of the mid shin that you get now, the chicken leg effect. He does have one minor flaw with his kibble, is that he does have these blades hanging off his ass. Now, for some people that wouldn't be a problem, but when you are able to assemble the wings, or the wings, in such a position, it would be nice if those four blades would slot together into one, and you could put them poking up over the top. Or maybe just clipped in, just a little press into place, and they would lock rather than having them hanging loose on the side. Now the weaponry system, let's get that away. All these minor quibbles, though, don't really take away from what is a good, solid figure. He's not an instant let's go out and buy him, but he's definitely a worthy addition to anybody's collection. And the design aesthetic isn't so movie that you would have to leave him in your movie line. You could get one of these guys if you wanted. A classic Autobot helicopter. His head sculpt is very nicely done, and is very, very classic in its styling. If you can see, I'm not sure if you can, he does actually have a mouth and eyes, which for a movie toy is a rarity indeed. Overall, I'm impressed enough to say he's worth picking up, though if you find his casemate and him together and can only afford one, I would be going Terradive all the way. Anyway, I've been King Grimlock, this has been Hunt for the Decepticons Tomahawk, and we will see you next time.